This time of year, I see a lot of people quietly thinking about moving, not rushing, just thinking. I'm Lisa Angell, and I am your Palm Springs and Desert Cities realtor who has lost my voice in Christmas. I've got 27 years of experience, and my job isn't to push timing. It's really to help you make a good decision and feel great about your move later. So I thought I'd bring up the fact that I did a blog, which you can attach to, or which you can read, which is attached to this. And these are the things that I really find that are helpful if you are considering making the move in 2026. Because I think a lot of people are trying to time the market. And so I think these are good things to discuss right now. So one of the things that you should think about is, as we're slowing down and taking stock and making resolutions and all those things, right? Let's think about, if there's reasons, if you're already definitely moving because of X, Y, and Z, that's one thing. If you're just checking it around, here's some things to consider. So you can ask yourself, is this about lifestyle, space, location, flexibility? Is it more about monthly comfort or financial strategy? Are you reacting to discomfort or leaning into an opportunity? So one thing to consider is that if it is about lifestyle, which a lot of the people coming to the desert, it's really about your lifestyle. It's about the fact that you're probably considering retiring. Maybe you are retired and you're thinking, you want to spend more time in the sun. And, or maybe as far as financial strategy, you might live in a house that's too big for you now and you want to downsize and get a condo. And something, in fact, I was just talking to some people the other day, and this is their goal. They want to, they want to sell their larger home, and then they want to have a condo where everything's kind of taken care of, and it's their home base, so they can go travel for long periods of time and not have to worry about that. And you might be surprised how affordable the condo can be in the Palm Springs area. It can even be as low as I just saw one the other day for $250,000 that was in Palm Springs, and very cute. It's not fancy. It's perfectly comfortable if you just wanted a home base. So this is not about getting like the ultra. You can absolutely get the ultra beautiful place that you want to live, the big pool, the big lots, all the things. We have all the options. That's the really nice thing about this area, is you really have a very large gamut of things that you have available to you. So if it's more about the flexibility and lifestyle, maybe you're going to be looking for something that's a little bit more in the way of like this, the smaller thing. Well, I guess that would be flexibility. Maybe it's more a financial strategy. If it's more about lifestyle, perhaps you are thinking, listen, I want to live, for instance, in Ironwood, because I love that golf course and it's got beautiful homes in there and it's got a real lifestyle advantage. Same with, there's many different communities, but I'm thinking of one in particular, which is Trilogy in La Quinta. Has a beautiful golf course. It's owned by the residents. They have a brand new restaurant. In fact, the golf course had gone into bankruptcy or was getting there, and the residents decided to buy it. And it's also got a very reasonable monthly HOA dues, but there are some gorgeous homes in there. So you can get homes in there anywhere from about 500 to maybe about 1.3 million. And they've got a spa on site. They've got huge pickleball courts with like stands you can sit in and watch, beautiful pools, all the things. So those are a few things, because if that's what you're thinking about, then, again, and you can reach out to me too, and I can talk to you about all the different options that you have in the valley. Now, if you're talking about timing, and again, timing the market, even as a professional who watches this market all the time, I've got good ideas. I got when to move, when to buy, when's a good time to pay full price, when's a good time to actually come in a little bit low, when's a good time to come in a lot low. Sometimes that's very property dependent too. But timing is going to be, it's going to be hard to pin down. We can get a good idea. We can give you some good advice. It doesn't mean it's going to happen exactly the way that we think it's going to happen. So if you're waiting for a percentage rate drop, the interest rates, or something like that, that's going to be tough to time. General conceptions about the market. Is it moving up? Is it moving down? Things like that. Let's say that you're coming from the Midwest and you want to move to the Palm Springs area because obviously the weather, right? It doesn't get much better than that here. And, but you're like, I have to sell my house first and I'd like to go and move there and just buy it with cash because that happens a lot here, right? This is your retirement home. You're going to sell the other home. You're going to move here with some cash. And but in order to sell the home that I'm living in now, having the interest rates look better would be a big deal because I got to be able to sell my house. But here's the other aspect of it too. If the market's a little bit slower here, that house is going to be, you might get it a little bit more affordable on this side too. Maybe you're not competing with a bunch of people because that's a big aspect. And we're already seeing it happen as the rates have getting closer to 6. I've been involved with multiple offers multiple times in the last 4 months, especially. They are still happening. They are still out there. Even on a house that's been sitting for a few months, all of a sudden you can see multiple offers come through. So if the rates get lower, what might end up happening is if you price your home to sell where you are now, and maybe it's a little less than what you really want, likely the home you're going to buy over here, you're going to even out. You're going to be able to come over here and get a little bit better deal too before things get too hectic over here if the rates were to drop. Because again, if that's what you're waiting for over here, it's going to affect you over here as well. Again, something to chat about. So another hesitation that you might have. What are we most afraid might go wrong, right? Financial risk. Obviously, that's a big deal. Are you going to regret your choice? The unknown. I would actually tell you if you're coming here, and again, I'm talking to people who are probably retired or looking to retire soon, and maybe you're looking to get your house now. Maybe you'd like to rent it out for a while. And then once you're fully retired, you come here full time, something like that. I would recommend that if this is something that you're still kicking around because you're not 100% sure, we have seasonal rentals here, kind of like an Airbnb long term. That can be a great way to get your feet wet, especially when it comes to just disruption, the regret, the unknown. You come on over here. You stay for a month or two, and you stay in a house that's fully turnkey like an Airbnb. And I have access to those homes. Here's another little tip for you too. If you want to go somewhere, especially a place like this, and you're going to want to stay for 2 months, you say, hey, I want to stay. Maybe you want to stay this summer because you want to see if you can handle it in the summer. So maybe you say, well, I'm going to stay from April through June or something. I want to stay for 3 months. I really want to get the lay of the land here. And I want to see what the heat feels like. Or you want to come just during January because it's the nicest month or whatever. Anyway, if you've gone to Airbnb and you put your dates out for a month or 2 or 3, it's going to give you different numbers than if you just put them in for 2 weeks. Usually, there's going to be a discounted rate for a month. Just something to keep in mind. So it's something you can look into, and I can also help you with that as well. Because if you're looking for a month or 2 or 3 for rentals here in our multiple listing series, we actually have access to that as well. So I can always help you with that. And these are turnkey places where you can come in and you've got all your cooking utensils and your towels and your sheets and all the things. So you should be good to go for that. So number 4, if we wait, what are we hoping will change, right? So are we waiting for prices, confidence, permission, right? So I think some people are thinking that we're going to see the market shift back to where it was, maybe more of a seller's market. Other people, and I think it really depends on what you're hoping will happen, other people are thinking that we're going to have another 2008 buyer's market, fire sale. Neither one of those things are happening. And I mean, I think we might get a little bit, if anything, we might see a little bit more of a seller's market come back, perhaps. More than anything, what we're seeing, and I mean, I would, I suppose anything could happen. But with my experience of 27 years in real estate, my bet would be that we're going to see a neutral market, because that is really where a lot of markets have been over the years. And these wild fluctuations have been a little more abnormal. So I think we're going to see more of a market, kind of maybe what we saw in 2015 or 16, right? It wasn't a super seller's market. It wasn't a buyer's market necessarily. It was very neutral. You know, if you're priced right, you're going to sell or whatever. So waiting to make a decision, it's really like what is right for you? What is right for your family? Again, we're come back to timing the market. So I guess I'm just playing devil's advocate with you here a little bit. So, you know, it's if it doesn't make sense for you to buy or sell in 2026, I wouldn't. But if there's a move you've been waiting to do because you're waiting for one little thing about the market to change up or down, I think that it could just be very disappointing. So if you think about what your outcome, what is the outcome that matters most? And if you need any numbers run, if you need anything as far as help, like, and let's say you're in another area and you don't know a really good realtor who's going to actually, think of, education first, making sure that you're making good decisions for you, not them. That is what I am always working on as far as my decision making is that how is this going to affect my buyer or seller? And if they were looking over my shoulder right now and the email that I'm crafting to the other agent or whatever, would they approve? I always think of my buyers and sellers first. And if you want an agent who is thinking about you in that manner as well, then I have a great network of really good agents who that is their goal is to make sure that you're happy at the end of this, that your assets are protected and all of the things. And I can almost assuredly, regardless of where you live, find an agent who's going to do a good job. So if you help with any of that, like, because what outcome matters more to us? Well, what is the outcome that you want? And let's say you want to buy and sell, because again, that happens a lot with us. I can help just walk through those steps, run some numbers for you. Does this even make sense for you? If it doesn't, no problem. If it does, then you have more information in your holster, if you will. So, and then, what would it feel like in hindsight? So if you were to sit here, put yourself in a state of mind, and it's the end of 2026 and you're looking back and you're thinking, what would make sense for this situation, right? I think if you did that, if you really think about what you want this year to look like, you're going to, looking back on it, makes a lot more sense. And then, of course, what information would reduce the guesswork right now? Obviously, any information I could help you with. But one thing I do have too, and I have it right down here, if you want to just schedule a quick Zoom with me, you can do that here. You can also find all of my guides and resources as well, because I have a whole website that's just devoted to buyer guides, seller guides, how to, do you want a great list of how to make your house really stand out because you're about to get it sold? And FYI, I would start sooner than later. You'd be surprised how many months it can take people to really get their house ready. Even if your house is one of those where people walk in out, oh my God, your house is always so clean, it's so perfect. It still takes a while to get everything ready, to get what we call pre-packed too, because let's face it, if you're moving, there's a lot of stuff you can box up right now to make your house more presentable when you're showing it to people. So something to keep in mind, but I've got a great list for you that will give you all the different ideas of what things you can do to make sure that you're ready to sell your house. So all of that is there for you and it's free. And if you have questions, you can schedule a time to talk to me as well. So that is, pretty much the thought process. I have, like I said, I've been in the desert cities for a long time, and I've been doing this for over 27 years. My job is not to push timing. And that's the reason I brought that up a couple of times. I'm so sorry, my voice. The reason I brought it up a couple of times is, like I said, I'm not here to push you about making a rush decision. I have worked with people who it's taken them, they found a home really quickly, sold the home really quickly. And I've also worked with people where it's taken a really long time to find the right house. And I've also seen how it's usually the right house. And maybe you lost one or two houses in between, and it seemed like a bummer at first. And then you get to that last final house and that you actually do end up buying. And you look back and go, oh, wow, this really was the right house. And when I see that happen so often, I can tell you from my point of view, if you're looking for an agent who is not trying to like push you to buy a house or push you to do this, like I've actually seen how that turns out for people. And I want you to get the house that you're going to turn around and go, oh man, really glad we didn't get that other one. I'm glad we got this one. And I'm glad we bought when we bought or sold when we sold, because when you're not being pushed to make those decisions. And now, don't get me wrong, if I think there's something out there and I think that, like, listen, this fits everything you've told me you want, I mean, I'll nudge you a little bit, because I'll be like, listen, I haven't seen anything else like this. I think this might be that deal. If it gets away from you, you're going to regret it. Like, I will be open and honest with you if that is my opinion. But at the end of the day, that's all it is, my opinion about what you've told me that you want. And sometimes when people tell me, it doesn't end up being the same as what they end up getting because their mind changes, because we're humans and that sometimes happens. So, but outside of that, I am just really happy to have you here with me. If you've enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe. And I am Lisa Angell, and I'm here to help you live your best desert life. And you can reach out anytime. Have a great day.